Well, let's keep talking about it then. I don't think I ever recorded 3 videos in a day, but it's a first for everything. Julie Woods, you asked me, are you advocating for a total separation of blacks and whites? Short answer, no. There are millions of good white people out there, especially from my generation, who are just as unfortunate to have that racial history be a part of their background also. I know and are friends with several white people who are allies to black causes. Like I said before, being pro-black doesn't mean that you're anti-anything. It's only anti-something else to those who don't want to see black progress. But I am advocating for a total separation of black people from white culture. I am advocating for black people to show up in this world as ourselves. See, for decades, it wasn't good enough for us to just be qualified for the position. We had to look the part also. Being clean cut as a man or having your hair straightened as a woman. We had to sound the part, speaking what's considered proper or the way that most people I know don't naturally speak. We had to change our disposition, forcing ourselves to smile more or doing what we can to appear less intimidating, taking the bass out of our voice as men or trying to sound extra feminine as women. That's what we have to do to get and maintain the job. And even when we're out and about, we have to put on a different face. We try not to let our frustration with tasteless jokes and the fetishization of our natural hair come out in our tones when we speak. A tone that other black people would hear immediately if found to be out of pocket. We suppress who we are daily to be accommodating to other groups, particularly white groups. Since so many black people love to talk about what we'll never see with other groups, add that to the list. The Chinese man shows up to the world as a Chinese man. The Indian woman shows up to the world as herself. My Italian partner Johnny, who's from New York, is going to sound like he on a set of Donnie Brasco every hour of the day, every day of the week. A lot of parking meters out in Florida. The Mexican homies are going to show up as themselves. There's only one group of people that show up to the world as something or someone else. Don't get me wrong, a lot of people code switch depending on the environment they're in, but we're the only ones that code switch the second we leave our doors. We're the only ones who tell our males to cut their natural hairstyle off so they can go out and get a job. This is why so many of us were embarrassed when Cameron went on CNN as himself. We've known Killer forever. That's who he is. That's who he was on Confessions of Fire, SDE, Come Home With Me, Purple Haze, Diplomatic Immunity, Killer Season, Diplomatic Immunity 2, Purple Haze 2. He's always been that way. That's the way he was as Rico on the set of Paid in Full. That's the way he is on It Is What It Is, which I listen to every day. That's who he is. Why do we expect that man to show up differently for CNN? Because we expect ourselves to transform around white folks. Something 99% of us would have done. Yeah, man, we'd have been on that newscast in our pink dress shirts, with our initials sewn across the front of them, with a big old smile on our face, letting white folks know you're safe around me. I listened to a video of a brother talking about how in other countries, their men are selling fruit on a corner, and the people don't shame them. Well, I've never shamed a brother setting up a smoker and selling barbecue on a corner. In fact, I can't count the amount of times that I've patronized a brother selling barbecue on the corner. What's shameful about that? I was grateful they were selling those links. I was hungry than a mug. See, it's only shameful when black people view black people from the vantage point of how we think white people are viewing us. See, Julie, this is the problem I have, especially today. Now, we're on this earth together. We're supposed to work together. That explains world trade. Things on your land might not be readily available on my land. I'll trade you this if you give me some of that. However, we are different, and that extends beyond our physical traits. And that difference should be on display for everyone, proudly. We should be able to show up to any place of business, any negotiating table, as who we are, and not be looked at negatively as unprofessional, ghetto, hood, or classless, because we're in our natural state. The problem is that a brother from New Orleans might show up to a black function with his locks hanging, gold teeth in his mouth, and say, "You heard me?" after every line. A brother from Cali might show up to the function in Dickies and Chucks or Cortez with his braids down his back and might finish every sentence with "Homie, you good, homie? Yeah, I'm straight, homie." A brother from New York might show up to the function with a Yankee fitted, with a gold chain around his neck, with some Timbs on his feet, and finish every sentence like, "Nah, B, this party mad wild, son." Dead ass. All basic stereotypes, right? But the problem is that if they were going to a known white function, neither one of them would show up that way. But their white friend would show up to both their functions and our functions the same exact way. The same thing could be said about the dish that one would bring to said function. Yeah, if you're doing a potluck with your family or a black function, you might nominate yourself to bring fried chicken. You might nominate yourself to do some black-eyed peas, some hot water cornbread, some greens. Are you bringing any of those dishes to a white function? And I know there's some black people out there like, no, that's not true. I've been black a long time. I know what the fuck I've seen. If a black woman shows up with green, blue, purple streaks in her hair, she's hood, she's ratchet. If a woman of any other ethnicity shows up with green, blue, purple streaks in her hair, she's bold, she's creative, she's artistic, she's expressive. That's the problem. And the biggest problem is it's looked at the same way amongst a lot of other black people.